Stewart, I'd say welcome to Mill Farm, but you've been here quite a few months now, so just give us a bit of a rundown first of all on a bit about you and your background and what brought you to the Fylde coast.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's great to be here. I think, I've had a chance to settle in a little bit now. It's probably been month 3 of my time here. I think first and foremost, I'm a Lancashire lad. Born and bred in Preston, but probably 25 years or so being in the industry, working abroad. I started off in a company called Prozone, which was, at the time, the world leaders in performance analysis and the use of data in the game. Got to grow up with a lot of good guys in the industry, that are at big clubs now in terms of professional football. I spent 7 years in the Middle East with a club called Al Jazeera, which is based in Abu Dhabi. So I was actually out there with the current Tottenham Hotspur technical director Andy Sculding and Andy Belka, I believe, still at Queen's Park Rangers. So I oversaw kind of the business development of the company over there, whilst working in performance analysis, breaking down games, scouting, etc. Spent 7 years there and then moved to US Soccer. So worked with the US Soccer Federation. Actually scouted against England for the US when Robert Green let the ball go through his legs that time. I didn't scout that one, that was a gift. But did a lot of work for the men and women. Was lucky enough to go to the World Cup and win a World Cup with the women and win an Olympic gold medal with the women at the London Olympics. And as part of that role, was providing solutions and data and analysis and scouting to MLS teams. That was my remit as the business development manager there. So DC gave me a call, said, can you make us better? And there wasn't really a job description. It was at the time when the use of data and technology was still quite young. And I had spent 7 good years at DC, working me through the ranks, developing strategies, scouting, putting teams together, overseeing the academy. And we had pretty good success on a relatively short budget. So really enjoyed my time there. Left in 2023, at the end of 2023, when I first actually got to know David a little bit. I actually came over here a couple of years ago and watched the game. A couple of the players actually still playing. Ethan Mitchell was playing, I think, in that game. The facilities are fantastic. You don't need to tell me that. There's a real kind of passion from the owner to really push on. And it didn't work out. I just left DC. It was a little bit too early for me and my family. I have 3 small children. They're all American, and my wife's American. They're going to come over with me at the end of this month. I kept in touch, obviously, with David, and followed the team a lot. When I put something into a club, I put everything into it. So followed quite closely Fylde, and saw that they'd had a few kind of in different seasons. And I just reached out and I said, listen, I'm at a good time now. I'm doing some consulting to work for myself. I've built my own company. And I basically said, listen, do you want me to come in and help you out? I mean, you're in a tough situation now in terms of your league position, but get through that. Let's put some structure, some process in place. A proper scouting department, and with the facilities, we should be able to achieve some good things. And I think that was appealing to the chairman, and I've had a really good relationship with him. We go back and forth on a few things like anything else, but there's a good edge to our relationship, and I think we both respect each other. So in the short time that I've been here, we've managed to do a few things that I think are that are a lot better than probably what they were. I think the chairman's got a passion that is real for improving this club and taking this club forward. So, hopefully I can advise him in the right way, and we can put a squad together, and obviously bring a manager in that represents the Fylde coast well, and get some more bums on seats and fans on seats and supporting the club, because I think that's everybody likes to see the hometown club do well, and I think with a little bit of a reset we can do that and look forward to the future.
You sort of just touched on my next question a little bit, but what have you sort of found your first few months here? Obviously, the season ended in difficult circumstances, but how have you found it on a personal note? Yeah,
good. I think change, I think, is always good. I think the end of the season gave us an opportunity to really sit back and reflect on some of the mistakes that we've made, and there have been some mistakes at the club. I think my role is to, kind of put that into perspective. I like to build things. I like to think I'm a relationship guy. First and foremost, the most important thing at the club is its people. We need to make sure that they all fully understand their roles and responsibilities at the club, how they can influence the club in a positive way. And I think using the facilities and using kind of the tools at our disposal, make the most out of what we've got, which, again, going down into National League North, we should be, and we are, kind of very, very well equipped to put some good process in place. So for me, it's a case of finding it a really good opportunity to build something, put some processes in place whereby we can develop not only over the short term but the long term as well, which maybe in the past that club's not had for whatever reason. So really looking forward to that, as I say, it's been great so far. I've really enjoyed my time. There's a lot of work to do, but really looking forward to it.
I think if any Fylde fan could sit where I'm sat, I think the first question would probably be an update on the manager situation. Obviously, I know we've been recruiting over the off-season, but how have you sort of found the search, and is there sort of an update on where we're at with that? Yeah,
for sure. I think first and foremost, coming in, to the role, being 3 months in, I think it's pretty obvious in terms of what we need in terms of, from a manager standpoint. I think part of that process also is actually, getting with the chairman and the key stakeholders of the club and actually figuring out what we want to be as a club, how we want to play, our style, how do we want our players to reflect that, how do we want to engage in our fans and have them coming in week on week and looking forward to actually watching us play in a team that represents them, and because ultimately they pay their money, and without the fans, the club is nothing. So, from a manager point of view, I think we want and we're looking for someone who is hungry, someone who has a little bit of an edge to them. I think it's been proven in this league that you can play a little bit of football and be successful. And I think, again, if we're looking forward and looking to maximise the opportunities that we've got here, certainly with the facilities, we have to be very kind of proactive in the types of manager and players that we bring in, because, ultimately, if we want to be a club that is developing players and selling players and moving players on, then the higher you go, the more technical players that those players have to be. So if we want to be that, we have to recruit a manager that also sees that as a vision, developing players that we can essentially make money from. Make no mistake about it, we're in a situation whereby we are probably a developing club, and we would love to see players leave here to bigger and better things, and hopefully as we progress in our planning as the years go by, we build on that. So for me, the process has been, what are some of the key traits that we want to see in a manager? Character is very important. The knowledge of the league, I think, is important at this level. And so all these factors we're putting together and weighing them somewhat equally. Some are going to be, some are going to be more highly weighted than others, some of those factors. But I think ultimately you'll find that we will hire a manager that is, very ambitious. Very keen to do well with the facilities, accept the facilities that what we are, but also be humble enough to say that, they're not a given that we are successful. We want someone who can develop players, but also is a good man manager, that knows the league and is not afraid to, put a few rockets up people if things aren't going well. So, I think someone also that can be the face of Fylde and the face of the community, that, when we talk about a specific manager, they know what they're going to get from that manager, and they know how they're going to play, and are proud to actually represent this club. So I think a lot of those things, we can kind of quantify as well, and a lot of those things that we're taking our time on and not rushing, because it's a really important hire for us, as are other important hires that we're working on. So we're looking to lay the foundation now, that in 12 months' time we have to tweak. We don't have to go through this process again. So we want to make the right hires. We don't want to make the same mistakes that we've made in the past. we are going to make mistakes, but again, it's about due diligence and minimising that risk and those mistakes so that we only have to tweak and not totally revolve and redo our process in 12 months' time.
And just finally, I know there's sort of a lot of work going off the pitch in terms of recruiting for manager. We've seen the head of scouting role that's recently been sort of advertised. What's your sort of ambitions for the season ahead, and what's your sort of main aims?
Yeah, I think the aim, as everybody else's is to bounce straight back up. I think that should be the aim. I think we'll be a team that is a target next year. I think just from who we are, I think at times we're probably too nice. We're too nice. The facilities are fantastic. I would enjoy coming here and playing football, and we have to make that a point of contention for us when we're playing these teams. Like, we're not going to be playing at places that have the facilities that we have, and we have to understand our environment and our ecosystem and the ecosystem that we're in. But make no mistake about it, that brings some advantages that we can take that we can then play to. I think, we want to be a team that is front foot aggressive but plays football. But also we're going to need to do the dirty work, and I think part of my role is to hire the right characters in the dressing room that can maybe dig people out and look each other in the eye and say, you know what, that wasn't good enough today. And we probably haven't had that in the past. We had a good bunch of lads last year, but we were too nice. And I think we have to get a little bit more down to basics in terms of that, and have the dressing room kind of run itself. Because if the dressing room runs itself with good characters, committed guys that want to do well, then that's half the battle, I think, in this league. And hopefully some of those other things that off the field, the advantages that we've got, the facilities, the training grounds, the budget, I think can then hopefully take us over the top. And certainly we want to be competing. Otherwise, what are we here for? So we're going to go in every game to win next year, and we're going to hopefully have the players and the manager in place that represent those values.